Open source educational technologies. What does that mean? Let's break it down. Open source. I'm sure you've all heard the term, but my favorite way of describing it is through one of the guiding principles of the movement, called Linus's Law. Linus's Law states that given enough eyeballs, all bugs are shallow. It's the idea that we don't need to solve problems in the rigid, top-down approach that we always have, but that crowdsourcing and open access to information can work just as well. Open source is all about creating solutions and making sure people can benefit from them.
Educational technologies. In a technological era where technology is all around us and is continuously improving, technology has had to make it to the education field, changing the ways in which we approach teaching and learning and giving rise to educational technologies. Educational technologies are simply the bridge between education and technology, referring to the ways in which technology could be integrated in learning. But the question is then, how can technology help with education? According to a 2017 IBM report, the world produces about 2.5 quintillion bytes of data. That's a lot of data. It's almost too much data. And this is where technology has a role to play. Technology can help by the large amount of information that it has and makes accessible to everyone. By helping us leverage the vast amount of resources out there, technology could bring us the future of education.
So what is the future of education? It's a good question. More importantly, it's a big question, and one that I don't know the answer to. As our teams this semester looked at what we thought the 21st century of education would look like, however, we decided that the future of education would be focused on the learner. That is, flipping the traditional model of students absorbing information from a lecture, really putting them in the driver's seat of their own educational experiences. So how can open source principles and educational technologies contribute to a learner-centric future? It's still a big question, but it's one we took a crack at this semester.
So in the projects we did throughout the year, we worked towards this vision of making learners take ownership of their learning journeys. We evaluated current models, identified some flaws and needs, and took learner-centered approaches in order to come up with some potential solutions and develop some open source edtech products. Some projects were more research-oriented, others were more product-based, but they were all guided by the learner-centered principle, personalization, and use of open source content, tools, and processes.
So the first project we're going to dive into is actually called Ribbit Reading, aimed at designing a mobile application platform to promote early childhood literacy. Research has shown that early childhood literacy has key implications for far-reaching education. However, studies have shown that only about 43% of children under the age of 5 are being read to aloud daily. We hope to offer Ribbit Reading an educational and entertaining platform that really puts a child in the driver's seat in control of their own learning education, or literacy education.
Another project is PLEP, which stands for Personalized Learning Educational Platform. PLEP looks into the problem of the lack of individualized instruction, in that the same content is presented in the same way to a diverse group of learners. It also looks into the problem of the lack of guidance when exploring a specific topic of interest through the internet. PLEP sought to address these problems by building intelligent recommender systems that help compile a curriculum that is customized to users' goals, interests, and learning preferences.
Another project focused on the conflict between career choices and the requirements of a liberal arts education. By conducting an ethnographic study on students, we hope to answer the following questions. First, how do students perceive the value of a liberal arts education? Second, what influences these perceptions? Third, how do these perceptions affect the students' academic choices? And lastly, how do these perceptions change over time, and why do they change?
Last but not least, we had a project of building a prototype based on a model called the Adaptive Experience Engine for serious games, which leveraged aspects of gaming and reinforcement learning to sequence educational content. The point of the prototype was to deliver educational content to users in such a way that it adapted to their needs, taking into account factors such as their skill level and the difficulty of the content. The overall objective was to move away from a one-size-fits-all model of education and really mold each experience to the individual.
So with all that said, what's next? We're optimistic. We really believe that education technology can really enhance the way that we learn and the way that we teach. However, there are a few questions we need to keep in mind before we proceed. First, how do we ensure that when we innovate education technology, the tools that we create don't present themselves as a distraction to the student, interfering with their learning process? And more importantly, how do we continue to preserve and respect the intimate relationship between student and teacher? If we can always keep these questions in mind, we're confident that we can continue to create new and efficient tools for learning.
And we'd like to say thank you to our team here, but we're out of time, so thank you so much.